Hi, folks. Welcome to the best marketing podcast ever. And today we have with us Jennifer Barnes, who is CEO and founder of Optima Office. And I believe they specialize in providing
outsourced accounting and finance HR services.
Correct. You got it.
So if you need a fractional CMO, CFO.
Well, CMO is what REB does.
Yeah, fractional CFO,
CFO.
and controllers.
Yeah, I think our sweet spot is really on that leadership role. So leading and managing accounting departments, everything from the high-level CFO, which is strategic, forward-looking, everything you need to know about where your company's going, usually the task of a CFO. And a controller is just leading and managing the accounting department, making sure they have good financials and good analytics and great dashboards, information to rely on. And then they manage the entire accounting team below them. So people ask if we can do bookkeeping, and of course we can do bookkeeping. We've got, 20 plus bookkeepers on our team who are all local. I do pride myself on having local people. We don't offshore anything. But if a company is going to want a controller, a bookkeeper, then they obviously will need a controller as well.
Yeah, nice. And what types of clients do you serve?
All sorts of clients, from startups and not-for-profits to larger scale organizations. We even have a couple of publicly held companies that utilize us. We can manage and lead the entire accounting department, or we can just fill some gaps. And so some companies might come to us and say, hey, I've got somebody going on maternity leave and I need you to fill the gap for 6 weeks or 2 months or whatever. And we're happy to do that. But that's not really what we do on a regular basis. It's more long-term, ongoing, hiring us to make sure that they never have issues in their accounting and finance department.
Yeah, it's nice. And it's so important for a growing business. They need that strategy as well as the bookkeeping and all the levels of your accounting department. And then you guys also do HR.
We do HR. It's funny. Most roads lead to controller. Companies will call us all the time and say, oh, I need a CFO. I need a CFO. And say, oh, well, tell me about your accounting team. Oh, well, so-and-so is just entering expenses on a daily basis. We really don't have much set up, or, we need a CFO to come in and tell us what we need. And my response is usually, well, let's not start there. I know that might be the higher priced, most high billable rate. And so some companies, especially some of our competitors, might be like, oh, yay, of course you need a CFO. And we say, no, let's not start with the CFO. Let's start with the controller. Let's just make sure that all your books are clean and organized. You have a great balance sheet schedules, everything ticks and ties. And then we'll bring in the CFO once we feel really good about the state of the financials, so that the CFO actually has something great to advise on and strategize on. And then same with the HR side. People might have their bookkeeper doing HR. They have their bookkeeper doing hiring packets and handbooks, and they say, oh, we just used AI, or we just Googled it. And, Dr. Google is not great for HR, especially in California. And so, yeah, we do lead and manage the HR department as well, and make sure, from a human resources standpoint, that all the boxes are checked. Risk and compliance, and a lot of the issues, especially in California, it's a tricky state to do business in general. And if you don't have a good HR person, you're really leaving yourself exposed.
Yeah.
California is a tricky state for, it's very, employer against employers and pro-employee, which, is okay. But it is very difficult to have employees here. I'm a very small business, and I mostly have contractors, but I'm actually at a point now where I'm considering, would it be easier to have a partner than have an employee?
I got some partner stories to tell you.
I do too. I do too. But from a reporting and everything else standpoint, it's almost harder to get in trouble that way, I guess, is my thinking.
Yeah, I would say in terms of partnerships, unless you really draft up good buy-sell agreements and you feel like, it's a marriage. It's a business partnership. And so...
And I've had them go bad, for sure.
Yeah, I'd rather take on debt than... honestly, you think about it. If you're giving somebody 10% of your business and everyone's excited, they're like, oh, I've got somebody else to, take on some of the burden and management, and I'm going to give them 10% of my company, and that's not that much. Oh my goodness, a 10% partner can be a giant pain in the butt. And then, let's say your business is at 1 million and you take a 10% partner on, And okay, that's worth $100,000. Great. Well, what if you go to $10 million in revenue, and then that person now has $1 million in equity in your business? Well, if you had just taken on a 7% loan when you were $1 million business and taking $200,000-$300,000 out at 7%, you certainly wouldn't be paying out $1 million when you go to sell your business. And so the reason I say debt might be a better route in some cases is it really depends on your exit plan and your strategy and how well you really know that person that you're going to partner with. I'd rather pay somebody really well to lead and manage and direct and help me with the organization. If anything, give them phantom stock, give them good bonus plans, long-term care, incentive plans, whatever it takes not to have to give away equity unless you absolutely have to.
Love it. And that's probably really great advice. I'm going to try and take that.
She is in accounting. So earlier you had mentioned Google, and this is a marketing podcast. You have really great marketing. I'm curious, why do you invest so much into your marketing?
You know what? Some could say that we're not investing enough in marketing. I mean, we spend maybe 3%, 4% of our annual revenue on marketing. And that's just to keep the exposure out there about the organization. It's not like we are spending a bunch of money on marketing and getting a whole ton of leads in return. We're doing it more for brand recognition, for strategic advice, for our newsletters, for just keeping the word out about what a great organization we have, making sure that our website is up to date. Just now we are really starting more on the lead generation, getting more nationwide exposure, and marketing is really the only way to do that unless you really have a bunch of referral network in one market specifically, or you want to expand in one specific other market, and then you have somebody boots on the ground willing to spend the time to build that market. Really, marketing is the only way to do it. And so for us, we want to help more companies across the nation. And so we are going to have to invest more in marketing.
I think the SBA recommends like 7 to 15% of revenue should go back into marketing.
I think it depends on your growth plan. Yeah. I mean, you guys are the experts in terms of marketing, but you want to spend 2 to 4% on marketing just as a steady state, just to make sure you're keeping up, same with accounting, 2 to 4% on your accounting department, your CFO, your leadership team. Human resources might also be 1 to 2% of your overall revenue, but you have to look at every single department as what percentage of revenue is that department if you just want to remain in a steady state. But if you really want to grow and expand, especially in marketing, especially if you're building a product, especially if there's something that you really want to market to the masses and not just one specific industry and one specific market, like San Diego or Phoenix or Tennessee or whatever that market might be. If you want to capture a whole bunch of markets, you're going to need to spend 10%. 8 to 12% is probably a good spend in marketing, depending on your growth plans. Yeah, that's just industry benchmark standards. Sure. I'm not a marketer. You guys might say 15. Right?
Higher. No.
That's the budget.
And that's something that a fractional CFO can help you figure out. Is that, I guess, is that a big question a lot of clients have? Like, how much should I be spending on all of my departments? And
yeah, I like to start with what's your break even. What is your monthly nut? What do you have to crack in order to break even? And you start backwards. You want to make sure that you are profitable, but you want to at least make sure you break even, right? You want to be losing money every single month. And so what are your revenues? What are your projected revenues? What are your cost of sales or cost of making or selling your product? And then what's your gross margin? And then after that, your operating expenses. You have to look at what's fixed. And so oftentimes when people are having a budget crisis or they don't meet their sales, they say, oh, let's cut marketing and let's cut our accountant, let's cut X, Y, and Z because they're somewhat variable. But one could argue that those are the last things you should cut, even though they're variable, because things can go very badly if you start cutting those dire expenses. Not having good books and financials because you cut your accounting team.
Yeah.
Well, that could mean that your books are a mess and they're disorganized and you go to sell your company and you're not going to get nearly as much as you would have if you had had clean books. And so it's It's an investment to make, but it's a wise one, especially in marketing. You don't want to cut your sales in your marketing platform when you're having sales problems, because what's the future look like?
I feel like marketing is the first thing to get cut.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
And it's a self-sabotaging move most of the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But that is what a CFO controller would help with. They create your annual budget. They look at your break even. They look at your margins. I mean, I'm a huge proponent of looking at your margin by product, by service, by customer, and really, and by department and by region. And the more that you can slice and dice your data and know exactly where your gross margins are coming from, the better. And that's what an accounting department will do. But they also might look at the industry benchmarks. Okay, should it be 2 to 3% on marketing? Do you want to grow? Do you want to expand? Do you want to double and triple in sales? What regions are you focused on? Okay, well, then you're going to have to spend 5, 6, 7, 8% on marketing. Otherwise, you're not going to get the return. And speaking of return, it's always about ROI. What is the ROI on marketing? What is the ROI on different lead campaigns? What is the ROI on any kind of activity that you're going to do as an organization, and just making sure you're tracking that. So a lot of companies don't track ROI, kind of roll the dice and hope that everything turns out well. And, they might get lucky.
Are there, and this might actually be a question for Reb, are there AI tools for tracking your campaigns?
Yeah, there are. I think it starts really, you need to have a solid foundation, and it starts with having a CRM. It's really even before AI, like where are you putting your customer data? Where are you running your campaigns? How are they connected? Like Jen, full disclosure, I help Jen with her marketing, and she's on HubSpot, and that has made a huge difference. It's been a pain setting
A battle getting HubSpot set up.
but now that it is starting to track, and then we're also plugging into a tool that they use called Power BI, which is an AI optimized tool. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about how you're using that and the advantage it is for your clients.
Well, Power BI is powerful. It is incredibly powerful. I started as a controller many years ago before I moved into consulting. And if I had had Power BI in early 2000s, I cannot even tell you how much more efficient I would have been and how much more data is just at my fingertips. As a CEO, I have HubSpot. We use QuickBooks Enterprise, a desktop version on a cloud server. We've got a timekeeping system. We've got a payroll system and invoicing platform. So every single one of those systems, 5 to be exact, all sync into Power BI. And every single thing I ever need to get to as a CEO, I literally just log on to powerbi.com, go into my database, and I can see anything about any one of my employees. We have 100 employees, and so that's a lot of people to manage and track. Utilization and capacity, billable hours, what their bill rates are, how many clients they're servicing, what their team members are. There's so much data that you can have with that many people and over 300 clients. And so you put all that together, if I can just go onto a database and see anything I'd ever need to see without logging onto specific platforms, I mean, it's remarkable. And we're actively right now working on ways to create more exposure and create more awareness, especially to our current clients, on this tool is available for you. And we can help you build out a database so that you don't have to go and log on to QuickBooks. You don't have to log on to your payroll system or your HR system, or you don't have to log on to anything. Log on to one platform and you've got it all.
I like the idea of that, because I have so many different tools and platforms and subscriptions, and none of them talk. I mean, none of them talk. And it's a lot of copy this over here to make it work. And, this doesn't talk to the calendar, so I got to pull that in by hand. And it is a time suck. It's a huge time suck. And because I'm the admin person and the bookkeeper and writes the proposals and does the billing and everything else, having something like that would I feel like simplify my life quite a bit.
Well, and I can talk from the marketing side. Even though we have HubSpot, the reporting hasn't been as smooth as we thought. And now that we can plug into the Power BI tool, we're able to sync up with data that we never could have before. And it's actually helping us realize the ROI on the marketing efforts and the sales efforts. And so it's been interesting, and definitely on the marketing side, I think with the large language models we've been using as the marketing team. We're trying to find ways to be more efficient. We've certainly have never lacked in content, but the ability now to produce it at a different level, videos, our favorite thing, videos. Rob has come and done
Podcasting.
yeah, podcasting. So it's just kind of a new world. And AI has allowed us. We've built some custom GPTs for Optima. We've built one that has Jen's voice.
Oh God, that was scary. I didn't even know it was. I don't remember recording that.
Oh, it's her avatar.
It looked just. I mean, it was me, but it wasn't me, and it was me speaking, but it wasn't me speaking. They decided to use an email that I had written and did this whole AI thing. And I had to do a double take. And I thought, I just, am I losing it? I'm 45 years old. Am I getting, I don't remember recording that video. And
She did. She wrote this back. She's like, this is kind of old news. Like, and I don't like how my hair is. She completely, because I didn't tell her it was an avatar. I did for her.
Oh
I
my
did
gosh.
for her. And I said, what do you think about this video?
So you didn't remember, clearly you didn't do it, so you didn't remember it. So was it like, did this happen when I was drunk, or like, what did you think?
no, I just record a lot of videos, and I thought, well, maybe I know we did a lot that day. I don't remember this specific one, but okay. I go, it looks okay. And then she told me it was an AI generated video of me, and that kind of scary, because what if other people start creating AI generated videos of me? What am I gonna say?
We used to call that deepfake, and I think pretty soon we're just going to call it the internet. You know?
Yeah. No, it's interesting from an AI standpoint. Reb has been doing quite a bit on the AI front. It's impressive and it's cool, and I want to say it's revolutionary, but we weren't doing this type of stuff 10 years ago, so it is. It's so technologically advanced. I was given a report the other day, and I had a presentation to do, and it was like 300 lines of spreadsheet stuff and analysis, and I copied and pasted all of it into Cloud AI. I said, please give me a pie chart that does X, Y, and Z and summarize the data and this and that, and gave it a couple of prompts. And I got this awesome pie chart with everything I wanted, and it took less than 5 minutes. And I thought, this would have taken a human 2 days to get all this data summarized.
Yeah.
It was actually really, really cool. And I know that we're just scratching the surface of what AI can do. And I think Reb's really onto something with her AI vision and how it can really help the marketing world.
Rebel Labs. Yeah.
Rebel Labs. Love it.
Yeah, it's been a journey, and the fun thing we were talking earlier with a fellow marketer on a previous episode, and we brought up culture. You talked about culture and working, even though you may not be in the client's culture, that culture spills over into you and your team. And so working with Jen, she's always been really open about trying things and, investing in newer ways to do better marketing. So it's always been fun working with you, and that's helpful.
We had a good time shooting over there too, and all your people are super fun, and the office had a real fun atmosphere. A lot of jokes being cracked, which I appreciated.
See, accountants are cool.
You guys are still just a bunch of number nerds. Whatever. They were a good time.
I think it's really important to develop your culture and make sure that everyone that you hire really fits within your culture. And I think humor, just being able to have fun with your coworkers. And even though we are crunching numbers and putting together spreadsheets and managing and leading accounting and human resource departments, that doesn't mean we can't have fun. And
sure, life is too short to work with people that don't make you feel good about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Great.
Even ahead of HR, Jillian, she's gotten on camera. She doesn't enjoy it. So we may actually use the avatar for her to help augment her sometimes not wanting to be on camera.
Let's trick her. we won't tell her this now. We'll get one of her emails or something. We'll have her read using the AI tool and send it to her and see if she remembers filming, not filming.
It sounds like being on camera is a little traumatic for her, so I have a feeling she will see through that.
Yes, yeah. So that's where I can see the tool actually helping somebody.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we still want real people on camera.
Yeah, well, and I think right now, like, people can still kind of tell. you know, but the day is quickly coming where that's not going to be an issue at all. You know, I mean, we talked about this earlier, but I mean, AI has only been around in the public consciousness in a recognizable way for like 2 years.
Right.
You know, where are we going to be 3, 4, 5 years from now?
It's scary. I don't know. I mean, it's good, and it's also, it's a little scary. You wonder, imitating voices and being able to, have somebody in Russia calling one of your employees and saying, wire some money, and making it in your perfect voice and being able to answer questions about you.
And it's something that I've noticed that since AI, and especially generative, AI that does art and stuff, has become a thing, that the phishing emails are getting so much better looking. It used to just be like, alphabet, email address that it was coming from, and then like
The
bad
prince from
English,
Nigeria.
and you're like,
Yeah.
this is not UPS or Amazon sending me this. There's no way. But now it's like, well, the generative AI writes the bid, and they got the logo on there, and it looks like an official email. And if you're not, you're doing 50 million other things, I gotta look at this thing with the package or whatever, click on it, and then, boom, whatever, you just gave them your password or whatever it is. It's just, that stuff is really scary. Now, being able to impersonate people, and, well, I don't have a grandmother anymore, but my mother-in-law would, if she got a call and it was my voice saying, oh, I am in trouble, she knows me, so she'd be like, oh, there he goes again, and, before you know it, could send a bunch of money. Just happened to a friend of mine's grandmother where, and it was weird too. They made her like get the money in cash from the bank and like take a picture of it. And I mean, and the 2 guys showed up and took the, she's my friend's grandmother. She's like 98 or something.
Well, though, how can
People
you
are
do
jerks.
that? I mean, that's beyond AI. They showed up at her front door.
Well, yeah, but they use the AI, I think, for to
Right.
get the in or whatever.
The voice recognition. Yeah.
God,
Wow.
that's scary. Well, Jen, we know that you fought traffic to get here, and you have another meeting, unfortunately. But maybe any like kind of last words of wisdom for small business owners, or just business owners, entrepreneurs out there when it comes to their accounting, finance, marketing.
I think most important thing is make sure you have a good controller and a good HR person. Even if it's only a few hours a month of human resource support, that one-time quick assessment, let's go in and spend 10 hours and look at every single thing that you should or should not be doing in the HR department, and give you that, that sanity check. Just, you don't want any blind spots in the HR department, and every single business needs a controller. I say that all the time, and many people don't know what a controller does, but they really make sure that you have good financials, good financial management, good oversight, checks and balances, so there's no fraud, right? Make 2 people review things before a wire goes out. And just making sure that they have, good systems and processes in place, and, somebody that can just, that they trust to lead and manage their accounting department. Yeah. Again, and that could be a day a month, but it's one of those roles that if you do not have a controller, you have to have a controller. I don't care if you're only $1 million business. Every single company, say $1 million plus needs to have a good.
I'm so happy I don't do my own books. I mean, that is like the one thing that I'll spend, a good amount of money on a month, and I'm so happy for it.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, it is worth every penny, and especially when tax time comes around, and I don't have to do anything. They've got all the information that they need. I don't have to worry about 1099s if I got them or not. It's all in there. It's
preaching to the choir.
Yeah, well, absolutely love it. So where can people find out about Optima Office if they're interested in looking into a controller or CMO?
Well, you can send an email to Jennifer at optimaoffice.com. You can go to our website, optimaoffice.com, or if you are one of those people that like to talk on the phone, you can just call our corporate office at 858-283-1234. That's that number. I had all these options, and I thought, why don't I pick something that's easy to remember? 28234.
Oh, thanks, Jen. Thanks
Yeah.
so much for coming on and fighting traffic
Yeah,
there.
no, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you.
it.
Well, and thank you to all of our audience out there. Max Lux, Rob, my partner, and Rebel Risty with Rebel Marketing and Rebel Labs AI now. We'll put all of our contact info in the bottom in the show notes. And thank you. We'll see you at the next episode.